NVIDIA earnings are over. The market is digesting them today. But tomorrow we have a big event. In a lot of people's eyes, maybe just as big as NVIDIA earnings. So I want to go through that. I want to go through NVIDIA earnings because they are the largest weighted stock in the S&P 500 and the QQQ. They're also a bellwether for AI and where people think the industry is going. Also, AI is directly correlated with Bitcoin. I've talked about this before, but as AI continues to gain intelligence, as we continue to use it more and more, the cost of goods and services are going to go down. So naturally, people will be looking for assets to put their money in, and I think Bitcoin could be a big winner of that. So we're going to look at NVIDIA today, why I think a lot of people got this wrong, why a lot of people are misreading this situation, and we'll also be going through some Bitcoin specific news and the big event happening tomorrow that you have to be paying attention to. Now, before we get started, I have been very bullish on Bitcoin for years, and if you're bullish too and you want to start trading, there's a link underneath the video to BYDFi. You can get unbelievable returns in a very short period of time. I can show you that because I have some older trades. Sure, I have some on BYDFi, but I started trading on BYDFi more recently, but I have some older trades on BLOFIN. Now, I want to show you this because Bitcoin, I have this Bitcoin trade that I opened at $55,000 Bitcoin, right? It's a 7x position. It's up 736%. That's the equivalent of buying Bitcoin at the very bottom and riding it to $138,000, which we haven't even gone there. But I did not buy at 16,500 on this long position. I was much later, but that shows you the power of leverage trading. So if you want to start doing that, you can try out BYDFi underneath the video. We have over $25,000 in prizes right now too. We have this prize pool, $26,000 now. As time goes on, as more and more people trade, it adds money to the prize pool. So check that out underneath the video. Now, Bitcoin is sitting right around $113,000 after NVIDIA earnings. Now, just real quick, there are a lot of liquidations that would happen right around $114,000 to $115,000 Bitcoin on the 7-day exchange liquidation map here. You can see it kind of trails off when we go down in price, but we have some pretty quick liquidations if we move up further. Now, yesterday, NVIDIA had earnings, and I said, anyone saying that NVIDIA had a bad quarter because the price is down after hours is either insane or a newbie. Now, maybe that's a hot take, but NVIDIA had really good earnings, and I saw a lot of people online being pretty negative about them. Now, I think that's because NVIDIA fell about 4 or 5% after earnings. Now, it's just down about 1%. And a lot of the time when you come into the market for the first time, the stock market or the crypto market, if news comes out and the price goes down, you automatically get bearish, right? You think, oh, well, NVIDIA had a poor quarter, or, the AI narrative is done or something like that if they fall down 5%. But they had great earnings. NVIDIA beat earnings per share by about $500 million, so about $500 million. They had sales go up 56% in the quarter from a year ago. Their earnings per share also went up drastically as well. There were some things that analysts were maybe a little bit disappointed about. Their data center revenue came in slightly below estimates, but also grew 56% over the year. They gave a very good guidance. They guided for $54 billion plus or minus 2%, and that does not include any H2 shipments to China. Now, today there's some news on that. The NVIDIA team, Jensen, said that they're in talks with President Trump's team about selling its Blackwell AI chip to China, and he's also willing to give a cut of those sales to the U.S. government. Now, I'm not sure what I think about that. The fact that they're squeezing businesses, saying you can't work with certain areas, unless you grease the skids and give us some extra money. I don't know. I don't think that seems very capitalist, but anyways, the fact is they could sell billions of dollars. They say here, NVIDIA did $5.5 billion of revenue to China in Q1 2025, even amid the trade war. So if they did something like that again, they could be guiding for $60 billion. $60 billion in revenue. This is up from what they just did, which is 46.7 billion. I mean, we're talking about 30% growth from this quarter possible for next quarter. That's insane. So anyone that's saying that they didn't do a good job just because the price is down is crazy. You have to look at the difference between price going up and the company doing well. Sometimes analysts or retail investors or hedge funds set unrealistic expectations for a company. NVIDIA beat the high expectations given to them by analysts, which they're a bit arbitrary anyways, but they beat those expectations, and you can see that they're still growing very quickly. They've overcome a lot of obstacles with the trade war, with the tariffs on China and all that, being blackballed from being able to sell to China. So they had a fantastic quarter. And just because the price is down because of maybe some AI bots or something like that selling off does not mean that they had a bad quarter at all. Now, I'm not saying that I'm going out and rushing to buy them today, to be clear, because I still think there are risks, right? They've grown so quickly. Their revenue has to decelerate at some point. Even right now, though, based on their multiples, I don't even think that'd be the worst thing in the world if they went down to 40% revenue growth, then 35, then 30, then 25, then 20. I still think it would be cheap today. But they do have high customer concentration. 85% of their revenue last quarter came from 6 companies. I mean, you can pretty much name them, right? Like Musk's companies, Bezos, Facebook. You can go down the list of the biggest AI companies with the biggest spend, and that's who's buying and who's spending all their money at NVIDIA. But that's not necessarily NVIDIA's fault, right? If I told you you can make 5 times what you're making right now in your day job, but it's only going to come from like 1 or 2 other jobs, like you wouldn't scoff at that, right? You would take the opportunity. So NVIDIA doing really well right now. And this is really good for the overall market, as I said earlier, because it is a large weighting in a lot of the different portfolios and a lot of the different indices. Also, it still gives people the hope that we're going to see a lot of continued growth and that this AI trade is going to pay off, right? All the spending, all the capex from Google, from Amazon, from Microsoft, from Facebook, all these companies spending tens of billions of dollars a quarter still are seeing a good ROI. They still believe in this, and that's where they want to put their money. That's where they think the best use of their money is, not just buying back their own shares or paying dividends. They think that they have a really good ROI opportunity with going into AI. So not only does it show a bright future for NVIDIA, it also shows most likely a bright future for these other companies that are spending so much money on AI. So I was very happy with this. I also think an AI future guarantees even more that Bitcoin is going to be well used, because as time goes on, as AI continues to progress, let's say we have humanoids, which might be 10 or 20 years into the future, but humanoid robots, or just robots that don't even look like humans, but they do similar activities, right? Everything's going to get cheaper, from building houses to extracting minerals out of the earth to bringing you pizzas. So in a time of abundance, where do you put your money? I think it's even more important to put your money in something that's scarce, like Bitcoin. And I think, if AIs can collect wealth at some point, or trade, or, do any of that, transact, they'll probably want some Bitcoin as well. NVIDIA is getting their price targets raised. JP Morgan raised it up to 215 from 170. Morgan Stanley up to 210 from 206, etc., etc., etc. So the banks are thinking NVIDIA did a good job as well. Now, moving over to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is up a little bit today, right? We have higher lows and higher highs consistently over the last few days. That's bullish. If we go down to the 1 day, the RSI has calmed down a lot. It's 45, right? We're at $113,000, and the RSI is much lower than it's been in the past. The first time that we hit this $112,000 mark, RSI was 77. This is well into the overbought category. RSI, Relative Strength Index, just basically shows how overbought or oversold something is. We bounced right around a 35 RSI, which is very similar to when we saw a bounce back in June, which we bounced off $98,000. This time we're bouncing off $108,000. So that just shows you time and chop is good for Bitcoin, right? You can set higher lows and the market still isn't overheated. Now, there are a lot of companies planning on buying Bitcoin. Public company Kindly MD is going to raise $5 billion to buy more Bitcoin. Keep in mind, this was announced yesterday, but it's not like they've done this, right? There are a lot of companies that are announcing that they're going to buy, but they haven't actually gone out and bought the Bitcoin yet. So there's still going to be some buying pressure. Strive CEO Matt Cole says that they plan to buy $700 million worth of Bitcoin. The ETFs are buying Bitcoin. The Bitcoin ETFs have been a little bit slower recently, but still $80 million bought yesterday. The Ethereum ETFs bought $307 million. Of course, a lot of people were worried as well yesterday. So maybe, there weren't a lot of people going risk on right in front of Nvidia earnings. But now we've cleared the way for that trade for a while. Now, there is still a big event happening tomorrow that I think will greatly influence the markets. It's PPI. So it's PCE. PCE is coming tomorrow. We had PPI come in just a few weeks ago, and it was higher than expected, much higher than expected, 0.9% versus an estimated 0.2%. CPI was kind of mixed this month as well. So these are the three different inflation gauges, but PCE is what the Fed looks at. This is what they're really focused on. So it's coming in tomorrow. This will pretty much be the final nail in the coffin, whether the Fed can cut rates next month or whether, it's more questionable. So last month they're at 2.6%. This is a lower high from February of 2025, which was 2.7, and then March of 2024, which was 2.8. We went down pretty much all last year, then started to raise up a little bit towards the end of the year. Then we fell a little bit, then chopped back up now. So the question is it going to be higher than expectations? Is it going to be lower? We'll know tomorrow. The consensus and the forecast is 2.6%. So the same as last month. But we'll have to see. Let me know your thoughts on all this underneath the video. Be on the lookout for that tomorrow. Right? That could cause the market to, be a little bit jittery, I think, towards the end of the day today. But right now, everyone's still digesting the Nvidia earnings. So Nvidia down just slightly right now, but so much good news coming out. So much, so many good numbers and so much good data from them yesterday. The markets look a little bit mixed right now, but you can see NASDAQ slightly up on the open. Again, if you want to trade crypto, there's a link to BYDeFi underneath the video. I really appreciate you all watching. If you want to check out BTCC or BLOFIN, BitUniX, or WEEX, there are links to those exchanges as well. If you want to check out the Telegram, I'm posting a video this weekend that's already live in there. The Telegram's free. I just like posting in there too because for a while there, crypto YouTubers were getting kicked off, right? Their channels were being banned. So I wanted to set something else up so that way, if I do get kicked off of YouTube for talking about crypto at some point, I still have, an audience there a little bit. So check that out underneath. I really appreciate it. I'll see y'all soon.